Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatan Vitam Stam Sajiv Sadvaitam Savatutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lolita Sri Vishakhan Vitamscha. Hey Krishna, Karuna Sindho, Dina Bandho Jagatpate, Gopesha Gopika Kanta, Radha Kanta Namostute, Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi, Radhe Vrindavaneshwari, Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hori. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Shaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachate Shatarane Vanchako Patarubhyascha Kripa Sindho Bhyevacha Padita Nam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. My apologies. I'd like to say that I'm speaking in a voice choked with emotion. It's just a cold that's reduced my voice to croaks and whistles. I'll do my best. In this holy Vrindavan Dham, in this gathering of Vaishnavas, in the midst of Harinam Kirtan, just after the appearance celebrations of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we've now consigned to the earth the sacred physical body of His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami. And so we've just about completed our ceremonies and duties for today. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Jayadvaita Krishna Upadesh Amar Agyar Guruha Tare Desh. Instruct everyone to follow the orders of Lord Sri Krishna as given in the Bhagavad-Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. In this way, become a spiritual master and liberate everyone in this land. Jayadvaita Swami has shown us how to do this, not only in one land, but in many. In Africa, in India, in Australia, in America, in Europe. Wherever he went, whomever he met, he taught that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ete chamsa kala pumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. And he taught us how to revive our eternal relationship with Krishna in pure devotional service. He did this wonderfully by his words, by his kirtan, by his personal dealings, by the hope and inspiration and direction that he gave, and by all that he accomplished. With heroic valor, he spread and strengthened and protected the mission of Krishna consciousness given to us by Srila Prabhupada. By Srila Prabhupada. By Srila Prabhupada. He served Sridham Mayapur and served Sri Vrindavan Dham more than all but a few will ever know. And even the few will never know at all. He served Srila Prabhupada and Krishna more than duty could demand, more than most of us could even dream. And so he served the world, giving what the world most needs, pure Krishna consciousness. Giving more and more and more. Giving more when he could have sensibly and honorably given up. I've spoken about giving to the world, but the world is abstract. And Kadamba Maharaj was personal. He gave of his time and his energy and his heart. And for, not just for big people or privileged people, but for the people that he saw he could serve, and the people sometimes he saw were not being served. He well, I'll tell a story that, as most of you know, he was very dedicated to spreading the Krishna consciousness movement among the black people of South Africa. The comfortable thing to do is to dedicate yourself to the Indian people of South Africa, who are wonderful people and wealthy and generous and cook wonderfully and are exceptionally hospitable and qualified. But that's too easy. Kadamba Kanana Maharaj wanted to focus on the black African people of South Africa. And so he invested in them. He helped them. He guided them. He gave them responsibilities. He encouraged them. He earned their trust and devotion. And he started, there's a big Rath Yatra every year in Durban, big chariots and the works. We're all used to, we know what big Rath Yatras are like. Big budget, big attendance, big everything. But he started Rath Yatra in the black township of Soweto. Making it a local festival. The first year he organized it and pulled it together. And the next year, under his guidance, they were doing it. And in fact, he made it an item in his last will that this Soweto Rath Yatra should continue. One story from that Rath Yatra, I think, tells us a great deal about who Kadamba Kanana Swami was. They had the festival, they distributed prasadam and prasadam, and still there were people wanting prasadam. So there was prasadam, decorating the Rath Yatra carts. Distribute that. Everything. And he personally approached one black man, I think a little older black man, who was sitting on a bench, and gave him a pineapple. And the man said, "Is this for me?" And Maharaj said, "Of course." "Do I have to pay something?" I said, "No, it's yours." And the man was so grateful, he just began to cry. And when Maharaj told the story some days ago, he also started to cry, thinking about how Krishna consciousness could move people's hearts, how people could respond to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's generosity. Namo Mahabharanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate. Dayate means giving. Pradayate, liberally generously giving. So Maharaj saw that Maharaj saw that by giving Krishna consciousness generously, as given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we could touch people's hearts and people would respond. Even simple people, even uneducated people, everyone can respond to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement. Many gathered here, many gathered here and many gathered elsewhere. To Kudamba Maharaj, Kudamba Kanana Maharaj, their spiritual life. The rest of us are all, those of us who love Vrindavan, those of us who love Mayapur, those of us who love Srila Prabhupada's movement, are all in his debt. Over the last week, speaking was increasingly hard for him. Not a tissue if you have one. Cold is... Okay. Thank you. Over the past week, speaking was increasingly hard for him. There was no sign that his mind was less than perfectly sharp, and every sign to the contrary. But speaking just took too much physical effort. In his last 2 or 3 days, he could hardly speak even 2 or 3 words. And sometimes even gestures were more than he could manage. But yesterday morning, after first gesturing for our attention, with enormous effort, he forced out one clear word. The last, I think, that we heard from him. Mission. We also were trying to hear, and he perhaps repeated it, but he made it clear. He sometimes had to guess but it was clear. Mission. There's a word to remember and think about deeply. Plainly, he dedicated his life and soul to Srila Prabhupada's mission. And he instructed and showed his disciples and followers how to make that mission their life and soul. And certainly he hoped that his disciples would continue to serve in the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the mission of Srila Prabhupada. Going deeper, we can understand that he taught that by dedicating ourselves to Srila Prabhupada's mission, by dedicating ourselves to serving Srila Prabhupada's mission, we can perfect the ultimate mission of our human form of life, being eternally situated in the eternal service, the eternal loving service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One becomes situated in eternal perfection. The eternal perfection of life is the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And one attains that perfection by serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the mission of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Jayadvaita Swami Krishna Pradesh Amara Gyai Guruhan Taridesh. There's so much more to say about him, and we'll speak and hear more in the coming days, coming years. But for now, let us remember him. Let us honor him. Let us be grateful to him. And as we move forward in our lives, let us, as he did, always chant and serve the holy names of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Kadamba Kanana Swami Maharaj Ki Jai. Kadamba Kanana Swami Maharaj Ki Jai. Kadamba Kanana Swami Maharaj Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande. Hare Hare.
His Holiness Jayadvaita Maharaj Ki.
Dharmatma Prabhu has some announcements to make.
Sigma. Tomorrow 8 a.m. temple. Hare Krishna. So we are requesting all the devotees to please proceed to the Krishna hall for the prasadam. And then after prasadam, we will all meet here at 4 o'clock. We will have kirtan for the pleasure of His Holiness Kadamba Kanana Swami Maharaj. And then tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, we will begin with Vaishnava Bhajan in the temple room. And after that, there will be glorification by Srila Prabhupada's disciples and other senior devotees. And that will start at 8 o'clock in the morning with Vaishnava Bhajan. And then there will be a feast at 1 o'clock tomorrow in Krishna Hall. Hare Krishna. His Holiness Kadamba Kanana Swami Maharaj Ki Jai. His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.